Seth Meyers on Wednesday mocked Donald Trump's Republican allies who showed up to his hush money trial this week wearing virtually the same thing.
Governor Doug Burgum and Florida Congressman Brian Donalds and Corey Mills all attended former President Trump's criminal hush money trial yesterday and wore matching navy blue suits and red ties. Look at these dorks.
Meyers joked they looked alike.
Like a doo-wop group called the Four Treasons. They look like the Men's Warehouse softball team. They look like a singing group called Magapella. It looks like they put Mitt Romney cloning machine, but something went a little more wrong with each copy.
The prosecution in the Manhattan criminal trial of former President Donald Trump appears to have reinforced its case through the convincing direct examination of Michael Cohen, Trump's former lawyer and fixer. Cohen's testimony has provided detailed insights into the alleged hush money scheme involving adult film actress Stormy Daniels and Trump's involvement in it. During the cross-examination led by defense counsel Todd Blanche, the defense aimed to undermine Cohen's credibility by highlighting his criminal past and history of lying. However, Cohen remained composed and consistent in his response, maintaining the prosecution's narrative and leaving the defense's cross-examination efforts appearing somewhat uneven.
Serial killer.
This is exactly, Mika. This is why the Biden campaign desperately wants to see more bizarre moments like this during Trump's rallies. I promise you, they are more upset that Donald Trump is in trial right now.
The trial day commenced with crucial testimony from Michael Cohen regarding his January and February 2017 meetings with Donald Trump. These meetings, the third and fourth of four pivotal encounters, were key to establishing Trump's active involvement in the repayment scheme, which is central to the 34 felony charges of falsifying business records against him. Cohen's detailed recounting of these meetings illustrated how Trump allegedly orchestrated and approved the repayment plan, involving the falsification of business records to conceal the nature of the payments. This meticulous approach by the prosecution aimed to solidify the narrative that Trump's actions were not only deliberate but also illegal, thereby strengthening their case against him.
Describing meeting with Donald Trump in the Oval Office and being reassured that he would get paid, paying off Stormy Daniels, getting reimbursed for the hush money payments, going through it check by check, 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 and by check, and invoice and invoice and invoice and invoice by every last one of them.
In the trial's pivotal moments, Michael Cohen testified about a critical February 2017 meeting at the White House, where Trump allegedly instructed him to deal with Allen Weisselberg, the Trump Organization CFO. This directive from Trump was integral to the prosecution's case, linking Trump directly to the hush money cover-up scheme. The combination of Cohen's testimony and Weisselberg's documented involvement has been instrumental in the prosecution's strategy. This evidence aims to demonstrate Trump's direct involvement in orchestrating the cover-up and falsifying business records to conceal the payment, thereby establishing a clear connection between Trump and the alleged criminal activities.
The prosecution reminded everyone that Michael Cohen went to prison for doing something at Trump's direction. It's in a sentencing memo. Prosecutor Susan Hoffinger asked this, quote, "Why, in fact, did you pay that money to Stormy Daniels?" Cohen, "To ensure that the story would not come out, would not affect Mr. Trump's chances of becoming president of the United States."
One of the prosecution's most strategic moves came when Assistant District Attorney Susan Hoffinger questioned Michael Cohen about his admission during the Trump civil fraud trial that he had lied when he pleaded guilty in 2018 to tax and bank fraud. Cohen clarified that while he did not dispute the underlying misconduct, failing to pay certain taxes and omitting key information on bank forms, he believed these offenses, as a first-time offender, did not warrant prosecution. He testified that he was coerced into pleading guilty because federal prosecutors threatened to charge his wife as well.
And since he's making money off the Trump relationship and this very trial, can his testimony be trusted? And then one of the more damaging lines of questioning today, why should the jury trust Michael Cohen's fidelity to this trial and its rules and a fair process?
This tactic effectively preempted the defense's likely attempt to use Cohen's 2018 guilty plea to discredit him, When the defense revisits this issue later in the week, Cohen will be prepared to explain that he was coerced into pleading guilty, mitigating the potential impact of this line of questioning.
When he goes out on the road, people say, the guy's just not there. He is celebrating a fictional character there who, one of the most grotesque, horrifying people of movie history.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The direct examination of Michael Cohen concluded just before lunch with a powerful and emotional statement. Cohen reflected on his actions for Donald Trump. Throughout his testimony, Cohen managed to establish a remarkable connection with the jury. At this climatic moment and at various points during the day, Cohen spoke directly to the jurors, who were visibly attentive and engaged with his testimony. This unique rapport between Cohen and the jury suggested that he had successfully conveyed his narrative and experiences in a way that resonated on a personal and emotional level, potentially bolstering the prosecution's case significantly.
It amounts to one of the felony charges against Donald Trump. Cohen also described the 2018 raid by the FBI, saying he was, quote, concerned, despondent, and angry. After that, Trump told him this, quote, don't worry, I'm the president of the United States. There's nothing here. Everything's going to be okay. Stay tough. You are going to be okay.
Donald Trump directed his former fixer, Michael Cohen, to suppress Stormy Daniels' allegations of a sexual encounter, instructing him to just take care of it mere weeks before the 2016 election, according to Cohen's testimony in a Manhattan court on Monday. Cohen detailed how Trump wanted to ensure Daniels' story did not surface and impact his presidential campaign, leading to the $130,000 hush money payment at the heart of the case. This testimony underscores the prosecution's argument that Trump was directly involved in the scheme to falsify business records to conceal the payment.
Today, the defense questions suggested many different doubts. Is Cohen's story the whole truth? Did he have an unhealthy and even unhinged psychodramatic relationship with Donald Trump?
Michael Cohen is central to the case against Donald Trump, as he is accused of orchestrating a $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels just days before the 2016 election in exchange for her silence regarding an alleged sexual encounter with Trump a decade earlier. Cohen testified that he had already helped suppress Daniels' story in 2011 by working with her lawyer to remove a gossip site article about the incident. Prosecutors argue that Trump's 2017 repayment to Cohen was criminal because it was falsely recorded as a legal expense in the Trump Organization's financial documents. Cohen's testimony is crucial in proving that Trump knew about the false categorization of the reimbursements as legal expenses, which prosecutors claim constitutes a violation of election law.
Cohen telling the jury that he faced pressure to hire an ally of Rudy Giuliani's attorney, Robert Costello. He acted as a back channel to Trump. At one point, Costello told Cohen this, quote, sleep well tonight. You have friends in high places.
On the witness stand, wearing a pale salmon tie, Michael Cohen recounted his initial encounter with Donald Trump. Cohen first met Trump through Trump's son, Donald Jr., while moving into one of Trump's properties. Trump had asked Cohen to resolve an issue with the board at Trump World Tower. We ended up overtaking the board and resolving the issue, Cohen testified. He liked the way that occurred and then continued to ask me if I would assist in other issues, legal issues or other matters that he had. This testimony outlines the beginning of Cohen's role as Trump's fixer, a relationship that ultimately led to Cohen's involvement in the alleged hush money scheme and subsequent legal troubles.
Obsessed with. At one point, the lawyer asked, and Cohen largely acknowledged himself as a kind of cult follower. Here's another question the lawyers are getting at.
Eventually, Michael Cohen testified Donald Trump hired him full-time as an executive vice president and special counsel, positioning his office approximately 50 feet from Trump's own office. I was honored. I was surprised, Cohen remarked about the appointment. He elaborated on his role within the Trump Organization, emphasizing, I would only answer to him, and mentioned that he served as Trump's special counsel for a decade until January 2017. During his tenure, Cohen stated he was earning approximately $525,000 annually.
Quote, if not for the election, would you have paid the money to Stormy Daniels? Cohen replies, no, ma'am. Prosecutor Susan Hoffinger asked, quote, at whose direction did you pay the money? Cohen says, Trump's.
This line of questioning was critical for the prosecution to demonstrate that Cohen's involvement in the hush money payments to Stormy Daniels was not an isolated act of legal representation, but a part of a broader pattern of carrying out Trump's personal and business directives. This relationship is pivotal in supporting the argument that Trump was directly involved and aware of the reimbursement scheme, which was falsely recorded as legal expenses in violation of election laws.
Cohen says that Trump would ask him to renegotiate bills. For example, a law firm would send an invoice. Trump didn't believe the invoice was fair or justified, so he'd give Cohen the task of renegotiating the bill. I mean, this was previous to the presidency, but I would imagine you saw all sorts of people around the president.
Michael Cohen detailed his role in resolving controversies surrounding Trump University and managing media relations for Donald Trump during his testimony. Cohen recounted how he negotiated with vendors owed money by Trump University, ultimately persuading the majority to accept reduced payments to settle outstanding debts. Additionally, Cohen described his involvement in handling negative press coverage of Trump. When news outlets published articles that upset Trump, Cohen would intervene by contacting the media to request retractions or removals of the offending articles. He also indicated that threats of legal action were employed as leverage to compel compliance from media outlets.
Even understandably bitter, that his claims have become unreliable. Can he be trusted, the lawyers asked this afternoon, if Cohen admits publicly that his goal is to see Trump convicted in this case? And when he was asked about that, this was just within the last few hours, this is brand new, he said, sure, yeah, that's what I want to see happen. I want the conviction.
Michael Cohen's testimony corroborated the widely held belief that Donald Trump avoided using email. Cohen recounted Trump's rationale for eschewing email communication, quoting him as saying, "Emails are like written papers. It's too many people that have gone down as a direct result of having emails that prosecutors can use in a case." This explanation underscores Trump's concerns about the potential legal implications of electronic communication, reflecting a broader skepticism about the security and confidentiality of email correspondence in the context of legal proceedings.
Is there any way to know exactly what Michael Cohen was doing to hold the former president's feet to the fire? Sounds like he had full reign.
And I think there's a couple key points to your pointing all that out, and that is that one, Michael Cohen has said that he wanted to be Attorney General or White House counsel and didn't get that, and he was very disappointed and almost angry. Not qualified, I might add, but certainly angry.
During the trial, Michael Cohen recounted a meeting with tabloid publisher David Pecker in the summer of 2015, shortly after Donald Trump declared his presidential candidacy. Prosecutors allege that during this meeting, Pecker, Cohen, and Trump devised a strategy known as catch and kill to suppress negative media coverage about Trump. Pecker reportedly promised to alert them to any damaging information about Trump in advance and assist in preventing its publication. According to Cohen's testimony, Pecker offered to keep an eye out for anything negative about Mr. Trump and assured them that he would help prevent such information from being made public. This revelation supports the prosecution's argument that there was a concerted effort to suppress unfavorable news stories about Trump during his presidential campaign.
He was saying, stay loyal, don't cooperate, don't flip. He was essentially saying it on Twitter at the same time, which also was entered into evidence. Ultimately, Michael Cohen would plead guilty. That came in August of 2018 because he decided that, quote, I would not lie for President Trump any longer.
Blanche's line of questioning during the trial took a detour into areas that were unrelated to the core issues of the case. For instance, he brought up Cohen's criticism of Nichols and his anti-Trump podcast, as well as his media appearances and merchandise sales. These questions were met with objections from the prosecution, which were sustained by Judge Juan Merchan. Blanche's questioning appeared to struggle to rattle Cohen as he failed to elicit the desired response despite raising issues such as bias, media appearances, and financial motives. Overall, Blanche's line of questioning did not seem to effectively challenge Cohen's testimony or undermine his credibility in the eyes of the jury.
He asked me to do, I violated my moral compass, and I suffered the penalty, as has my family. A dramatic day of testimony from a former Trump loyalist turned star witness for the prosecution that is very much still happening and underway at this hour.
Blanche's questioning gained some momentum when he heightened the disparity between Cohen's recollection of conversations with the district attorney's office compared to his detailed memories of interactions with Trump in 2016. He also managed to raise doubts about Cohen's bias by extracting admissions regarding his desire for Trump's conviction and his involvement in selling merchandise depicting Trump in jail. However, even when confronted with Cohen's most provocative social media posts, such as calling Trump a dictator douchebag, Cohen remained composed and unaffected. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.